Sukihontu and good evening to ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dhammadana series brought to you by Buddhist Mahavihara Malaysia. Do subscribe to our FB for more information. The topic for tonight is How to Die Peacefully by Bhante, Kalutara, Miththa, Thera. A brief background of Bhante. Bhante Kalutara Miththa is a traveling Theravada Buddhist monk from Sri Lanka. As a layperson, he completed his studies in University of Colombo. He was a very talented student, a good singer, a music composer who was able to play music instruments and even wrote songs. After graduation, he joined a leading paint company as an executive, and later he started his own company and became a very successful businessman. He was also married with children. After some time, he gave up all that and decided to be a Buddhist monk. He spent years meditating in a forest monastery and now is a traveling monk, going from place to place, taking part in Dharma discussions and meditation retreats. He has traveled the globe with the intention of spreading the Buddha Dharma. Without further ado, let's invite Bhante to join us in our live session. Over to you now, Bhante.
A few weeks ago, our friend Tilak called me and he introduced him to me and said, Bhante, can we invite you for a Dhamma session on our studio? And I said, definitely. And subsequently, he gave me a topic. Topic was, what happens after someone dies? And I told him that, Tilak, I am a Buddhist monk. I am here to tell what Buddha taught me. Buddha never wanted to tell anything about what will happen after someone dies. But rather, he always wanted people, living people, to tell how to do, what to do and what not to do. So all of Buddha's teachings are only applicable in this life, not after. So I told him that, can't we change this topic? I said, because this is the topic moving around the death, how about how to die happily? Well, how would you like that topic? As it certainly, as I said, it's inflammable. So today, we are going to discuss certain Buddha teachings with you all about how to die happily. I know everybody likes the happiness, but death is something that you hate. And you don't have that in your timetables. Do you? I don't think so. And but that is very important, because we have seen, especially in this COVID-19 epidemic, we saw lots of people are dying so helplessly. And the doctors and the medical world couldn't help. And rather, they were dying too. So we saw at deathbeds how much of suffering they undertook at the time of death. Probably you have seen your grands and kids and friends were dying due to various reasons, maybe due to an accident. But at the last minutes of your death, they really suffer. All of us suffer if you do not make your mind up. So today's topic is very, very important. Now, death is something that we all fear. Death is something that we all don't want. Everybody want to live 100 years, 200 years, thousands of years. But we have seen people are getting old and going to terrible sicknesses and going to horrible accidents, and they die. There's no age limit for the death. But the point is that how painful is your death. The thing is that to say how painful the death is, that the dead person has to come and tell us. We can't judge, we can't gauge. But the Buddha has said, the biggest pain you undertake in your life is at the time you die. But the issue is that nobody comes from out from the other world to tell us and how much of suffering you undertook at the time of death. But it's amazingly, when even in this country and when I was traveling abroad, and I saw lots of cemeteries carry some nice sentence, rest in peace. Well, we all know that the whole world is very busy, especially in Malaysia, Singapore. People are so busy, they don't have time to eat properly, they don't have time to sleep properly, and their true life is being forgotten. So they live in a fake lives just to survive. What kind of a survival is that if you are that busy? But the point is that that busyness is very well appreciated in this world, especially in the developed world. Everybody wanted you to be very busy. Everybody wanted you to get married to the company that you work. And the whole life is being bored. And it's only few minutes is given for you. Is this the reason why we come to this world? Is this why we come to this humanity? But let's see what Buddha has to say about this humanity. Dullabhu manusatta patilabhu. He has told us 5 very rare things that is happening in this world. 5 rare things, not 6. One of those 5 is to be born as a human. But if you compare your life and the life of an animal, so they also be born, and the whole life is, looking for the security, protecting themselves, and looking for food, and helping the generations to go, and sicknesses, and they die. But if you very closely look at your lives, there's no big change than in the life of an animal. So you're always looking for the protection and the security of yourself. And you go to work, you study. What is the last thing? Is to earn, to survive. And you get married and breed. And you go under certain sicknesses and finally you die. But Buddha says your life is so much valuable than that. I mean, it is a crime to waste that life. It's a crime because it's so precise. Nobody understands the price, the cost of your life. It's much more than you think. So these busy people, when they want to have a rest, or when they want to have a peace of mind, from years and years, thousands of years before, even today, even tomorrow in the future, they will find the graveyard as a place to rest, as a place to find the peace, isn't it? So can you tell me any other place where these 2-3 words are written? Rest in peace. Only in the cemetery, only in the graveyard. You have a tomb where your name and the picture is there, and people wish you rest in peace, because everybody know that you couldn't rest. You couldn't find the peace when you are living. In the Western world, why they say is that if you happen to die, having your children, husbands and wives and parents around you, they say that you had a nice death because everybody was around. According to Buddha, you had the horrible death when your loving people are around you. And secondly, when they say that when people grow old and when they go into sicknesses, they call their children and husbands and wives and they divide their wealth. He give their last word son, do this, daughter, come here, don't do this. And half of my wealth is for you, come darling. And for my children, this, that, my BMW is for you, and all kind of divisions. And they say after doing such fair divisions of your wealth and everything you had when you were living, to your people, descendants, you have a peaceful death. Do you? Because what is happening at the death is unexplainable to a normal person. Nobody can say, this is happening to me, this is happening to me, I am dying, these are my last moments, and in 2 seconds time I am going to die. No one can say that. Instead, actually, they are counting their fingers until a doctor comes to give back their life. They don't want to die. They really don't want to die. They only just give up. No one wants to share their wealth. They just leave and go because they can't carry. So this death is very fearful. And people used to, traditionally they used to say that, if you die when you are sleeping, and when you die in your seat, in your chair, and they call it a peaceful death, happy death. And sometimes they say, if you happen to meet with an accident, you are crushed to death, it's going to be a horrible death. Or you have a cancer or something like that, you suffer so many years and finally you die, they always say, oh my God, he suffers that much to die. It's not a nice death. This is how we divide. This is how I classify the good death, the bad death. Who says this death is good and bad? Who says? It has to be said by the person who's dying. Well, I had a good death, I've had a bad death. But this is all told by the people around. What do they know about somebody else's death? So once the most venerable Sariputta came to an assembly of monks, they were just sitting meditating. He asked these monks, friends, do you know anything about auspicious death? Auspicious death. And the bhikkhus, then the Bhante says, no, most venerable Sariputta, we don't know what auspicious death is. He was just referring to happy death. Then Venerable Sariputta asked them, friends, do you know how to die happily? Do you know how to have a good death? And they said, no. Then most venerable Sariputta said, friends, if you want to have a good death, you should have a good life before. That's what he says. Then these bhikkhus asked Sariputta, Venerable Sir, please tell us how to live auspicious. How to live a life so that you can have a good death, auspicious death. Then the Venerable Sariputta said, okay, listen very carefully. Listen very carefully. And he pointed out 6 points. If you do not abandon these 6 points in your life, 6 attitudes, 6 practices in your life, you are going to have a very bad death. Let me tell you what is happening to a person at the time of death. We have seen the sportswomen die, presidents and prime ministers die. We have heard the people who control the whole world, the people who were famous to the whole world, they also died. But there's one common thing, whether the king or a beggar dies, is that your mind continues. and abandoning this physical body. Right now, we take it as a body. But Buddhas explain very nicely in very sensitive matters, this is not a solid body as you say, as you think. This is a the energy globule. We call it energy. This is all made of 4 basic elements: Pativi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. I am sure you know all this. So we feel like there is a body. But anyway, let's assume this is a body. At the last moment of the death of a person, the faculties of doors, windows, this mouth and nose, they start failing. They start failing. The first to fail is the body. Body has a faculty, it starts failing, like you can't raise your hand, you can't move your leg, you can't turn your body, and sometimes you will find that you can't move even your eyelids. Body fails. That is why when you fall very sick, you got to be, sleep looking up, and only you got to sleep, or you got to watch your ceiling and the fan for days and days. Just uh, give you a minute to look at the fan for about 10 minutes and see how you feel. Look at your ceiling, look at your roof when you sleep. Look up and still wait still about say 10-15 minutes, how boring that would be. And finally, not only boring, you become a constant suffering being just looking at one small thing in the roof. But when you fall sick, that is the only thing you have to do because your body is failing. You can't turn. And next to fail is the nose. What do you mean by failing nose? Failing nose is you lose the sensation of the good and the bad smell. You don't smell at all. So anything in this world before it comes to contact our body, the nose does a very important role. What kind of a role is that? It has a preliminary judgment. This is a smelling one, this is a bad smelling one, this is a stinky one. Don't take it, don't touch it, don't swallow it, right? Let it rub your face, rub your body. By smell, it gives certain signals to the brain so that it works like that. It's not the brain part, it gives to the mind. And the next to fail is the tongue. Your mouth is failing. You lose the sensation of tasting. So you don't know whether it is phlegm in your mouth, or is it medicine in your mouth, or is it food in your mouth. You don't know. You can't differentiate. Whatever you are taking your last breaths here and there, it doesn't matter what is inside your mouth because you don't taste it. And next to fail is your eyes. They go blurred. Even when you wear your specs, you can't see them clearly. And sometimes your most loving daughter and son or wife or husband and comes to your bed and say, darling, it's me. If they don't talk, you can't recognize them. That is the time you say, who is here? Who is talking? Because you are blind. You are getting blind, half blind now. And the last faculty to fail is your ears. That's a very common thing. They can hear everything you talk. So when you go to a dying person, keep your mouth shut. Because if you talk unnecessary things that create problems in his mind, it's going to be very, very bad for him. Everybody can hear. Why we don't say that he can hear? We assume that he can't hear because he doesn't respond. People think that we can hear by seeing our responses. Either we talk back, or we look back, or we turn our head. When we hear, when we listen to something, we always react and react it by some way. If you don't react, it's just like a concrete pillar or a tree. You just look at him, they will say that you are crazy. You don't respond. But remember, to respond, you need to have the strong body, strong mouth, strong nose, strong eyes, at least to flicker the eyelids. If nothing happens, they say you can't hear. And the fearful thing is that at the last moment of your life, you can't sleep. You just close your eyes, but still everything is working inside. People think that you are sleeping. No, you are not. You can hear things. And you just want to say that I am not sleeping. I couldn't sleep for last 10, 15 days. You want to say that to your doctor. But you can't say that because your tongue is deactivated now. So what will happen? Finally, if you are not having a purified mind, what do you mean by purified mind? We all have defilements in our mind. And 1500 defilement types had been recognized by Buddha. He is a wizard of identifying thoughts by its action. And most of the thoughts, he named them according to the action. 1500 of dirty thoughts. Most of the people having from time to time. And he put into 3 bags. Lobha, Doshat, Moha. That is, most of them are based on craving, greed. And similar amount of dirty thoughts are based on hatred, ill will. And all these too happens because of the ignorance, moha. So those 1500 versions are all in these 3 bags. And they stay until you go weak. Last moment, you can be a very strong person bodily. But at the last moment, when the body fails, the mind takes over. Mind overrides all your abilities and skills. And what does it do? It gives you objectives. Objectives of your life, very important one, big ones, massive ones. The mind brings that to you for the mind though, not to the eye, not to the ear, but they all comes to your mind. If there is a last thought available with this, the body, and it's going to have this one of those objectives that is being brought by the mind, because the mind is the dominating factor now, not your body. You have to eat what mind gives you. You have to listen what mind says. You have to see what mind shows. He's the dominating factor. Then what will happen is, depending on your unabandoned dirty thoughts in your mind, when they are emerging, they are surfacing all of a sudden. All these days they were lying here hidden. You never thought that you are such dirty, because you never had a prolonged practices to subdue them, to abandon them, to destroy them. That's what all about Buddha's teachings. Destroying defilements. So what will happen is, the last moment they jump up, because the mind is a dominating now, dominator, and he is the king. So they all come up with the mind and give you very, very bad objectives. Then what happens? Is the last moment, there are 4 things come to your mind. First thing is the sorrow. Why? You have to leave your children. You have to leave your husband. You will have to leave your father or mother. Sorrow. And then is the pain, physical pain. The Buddha once says, the most biggest pain of a man or a woman is the pain that comes to his mind, to his body at the last moment of his life. That is the biggest pain. So the pain comes. You can't stop it. Thirdly, what will happen is the fear comes. Fear. Why the fear is here now? And you think that the doctor would not be able to save you. You can hear people are talking about, I know this is the last moment, he's dying, there's nothing we can do. We are going to unplug him in 2 minutes. And they want to get the signature from their uh, loved ones because there's nothing we can do. He's not eating, he's not drinking. See, even the equipments are slowing down. When you hear all this stuff, there is a big fear emerging in your mind. What will happen to me? I may not be able to go home again. Is this cold death? Am I dying? These kind of things. Then the fourth one is anger. You get angry with everyone for nothing, for no reason. The first man is your doctor and the nurse. Why they are not attending to me? They are not giving me the proper medicine. Why they are waiting? They can understand that I can't breathe. Give me something. Anger. And the next anger, the projects towards your wife or children or husband. He's not doing enough for me. He's not here either. See that. He only came yesterday. I can see him. They are not interested in saving my life. And you will recall that how much a thing that I did for them in my life. But look at how they behave at the last moment of my life. And you become very angry. Very angry. These are the things that has come to your life. If you do not purify your mind. Then the Venerable Sariputta says, friends, let me say you 6 factors. The first thing is that the delighting in talking. If someone delighting in talking, that's in Pali called Bassa Ramata. Some people are very talkative. This modern world appreciate people who does a lot of talking. And if you are a person with less talking, people, they don't like you. When you go for an interview, they expect you to talk very well. It doesn't matter, work very well. Talk very well first. Even when you are a small girl, a small boy in your family, your parents always appreciate the child that talks well. And if somebody discipline is talking, no, I don't want to talk too much, I don't talk excessive, I will talk only good enough things. Nobody would appreciate that. But the Buddha will really appreciate it because he is a person who loves silence. Quietness is your wealth. Because the ears are all trained to so many noises at one time. If it happens to be a solitary time without any noises, you go crazy. Because you have not gone through any silent times like that before. It's amazing. So people talk and talk and talk. When they talk excessively, what will happen is they do a lot of immoral things by speech. A lot of immoral things by speech. They lie. They start lying. I know in Singapore and Malaysia, when you go to a shop, they lie a lot. They shows this product and they know this is the best product in the world. They say it's not. Because they show you this thing. It's look at this is working, that's the latest. When you take home, you will find hundreds of problems. But it has a guarantee. But when you take it, sometimes you can't find the man that sold this item to you. Because it's a worldwide theme that you can't do business without telling lies. So what do you think about advertising? Advertisement is something that you tell a lie much humanly, most civilized way. Cheat in civilized way is advertising. Yeah? Everybody want to highlight their product, show it the best in the world. So, when you talk excessively, you don't know, you try to make your speech so colorful and thrilling, you tell small lies. But whether lie is small or big, it's a lie. And sometimes when you go into arguments, because you are a big talker, you start using harsh words without knowing. Because you think that you want to show the real reaction by making your speech a little harsh, so that it goes pierce into the audience's heart. Yeah, it's working now. Harsh talking. Thirdly, without knowing, you go into divisive talks. What do you mean by divisive? You comment about people, this friend and that man. The people are living with you all the time. And person can say, do 100 good things for you. But the day he does one bad thing, you catch him. You completely forgot about all the good things that he had done to you. Then what will happen? You talk bad about him with others. And also, you try to corner him by telling other people that he had said that bad to you. He is going to do that bad to you. Be careful. He's a guy like that. This is your personal opinion. You're trying to generalize it. So what will happen is, well, you see, I never thought that he would be a man like that. Okay? I must be careful when I'm talking to him. I must be careful when I'm meeting him. So when you meet him, you don't say good morning. You always go back. This is not a good man to say good morning. He doesn't know anything about that. So what will happen is, when you talk excessively, you talk such stories, hundreds or so, without you knowing. You only said it for nothing. It's just a simple talk. But the results and the fruits and the repercussions of that talk is going to be very, very big. You divide people, you divide affections, you divide bonds, you divide friendships. Those are big, big demerits. And also sometimes when you talk, when you talk, sometimes you don't feel that the defilement nature in your mind increases. For example, two young guys get together. They just want to talk about everything in the world, including girls. So when they talk about the girls, they go into the bad side of the girls and they talk filth. Sometimes starting from adults only stuff. So what will happen is, when you talk on a subject like that, without knowing, you develop certain lust in you. When you talk, and some people listen to your talk, also develop lust in their hearts. So what your story has done to you and to your friends is creating lust which was not there in before your speech. One of the biggest demerits. You are making other people so stinky by using stinky words. So basa ramata means delighting in excessive talking is going to create lots of demerits for you. You don't know that, you don't feel that. And at the same time, when you can talk very well, your conceit, the ego rises. I am a person who known by most of the people in this vicinity. I am a good talker, I am a good teacher. I can talk very well, I can explain them very well. What is this? Without knowing, you develop a concept of I am a such a man. I'm such a man. Also, what will happen is, apart from doing immoral speech, apart from increasing the unnecessary conceit, and also you try to show yourself as a person or the person of the world. I am going to be a person who must be known by everyone. There comes the greed and the personal existence attitude. Probably as a Buddhist audience, you probably have heard about Sakkaya. Sakka in Pali is believing in personal existence. I am a person. I am a being, which is not true. So in the conventional world, you can't work without people, without persons. So you have grabbed yourself, you have imprisoned yourself in a weave that is being created by you. What is the weave? Here is a person. That person is called I. So believing in a weave of personal existence is creating everything like greed, conceit, and all kind of wrong views. Because it wants to protect and highlight this person in the society. So, Venerable Sariputta says, friend, there are people who live with excessive talking called Bas Aramata. They delight in talking always. How much even they talk in their sleeps also. Number two is that delighting sleeping excessively. The doctors advise most of the people, you sleep 8 hours to become a healthy person. You know how many hours the Lord Buddha slept? He only slept about 120 minutes a day. 120 minutes a day. But he never said in the daytime that he is very sleepy. Because that is enough for a person. What doctor says that because you enjoy yourself so much, you should have a very good sleep. So that only during the sleep, the body repairs yourself so that you are ready for next day. Who told you to enjoy yourself? You enjoy yourself by misdoing, misspeaking and misthinking. All of Buddha teaching is to discipline you. Discipline your speech, discipline your deeds, discipline your thoughts. So when you are full of those disciplined activities, you don't injure yourself, then you don't need doctors during the night to come and repair and give medicine to you. So in this world, people with less work and with a simple life, they don't injure themselves. And they live a good life and they live a good sleep, and even 2, 3, 4 hours is good enough for them. That's enough. Because sleep is a way of resting. And his life, during the day also, he lives a good life resting. Maybe in another session I will tell you how to rest and work. How to work and rest. Or how to rest and work. You can do both at the same time. That is called Viveka in Pali. Yes, I'm going to explain you next time, but we have a limited time here. The thirdly, so by sleeping so much, what will happen is you give comfort to your body. You think about the body, protect the body, and you help to increase lust in the body. Sleep well means lust in the body. You are overdoing for your body. That increases the self-existence view. That's a wrong view. Because you highlight yourself always. Number one is me, and me. So the third way of living is Gana Sangaramata in Pali. Gana Sangaramata, you try to always live in a company. Socialization is your hobby. You can't live lonely. You always want to have someone by the side of you, either to talk or to discuss or to share your views. Whatever you do, you want somebody behind you. And some people, they love to go into societies, parties, seminars, and Zoom talks because they want to highlight themselves. I mean, underneath it is that highlighting yourself. You don't want to be lonely. You don't want to be isolated. You don't want to go in a place where nobody is coming. But there are people in this world, have you seen them? They are just sitting lonely in parks, reading books, watching swans in the lake, and feeding birds. Have you seen people like that? So those are the people who they don't want to get involved in company too much. What will happen is when you are getting involved in company and society too much, you try to highlight yourself. When you highlight yourself, the craving or the greed and the conceit, all kind of things start developing without knowing. That's the nature of the mind. And the next point is sansagikaramata. Sansagikaramata is delighting, pleasing the faculties. You watch the TV always. I mean, in Western countries, I have seen even this country is the same, I think. When you get onto the road, they always take your phone on the left or right palm, and they walk watching they cross the road watching the phone, and they get into the bus watching the phone. They stand watching the phone, and when somebody talks to you, he talks to him watching the phone. They have nothing in their life to do without a phone. Sometimes they go to the toilet with the phone. When they eat, they have the phone by the side of the plate. So one moment at the phone, one moment at the plate. In fact, when you have your phones and everything around you, you don't look at what you eat. If anybody can give you any nasty thing for you to eat, then you will definitely eat because you don't look, you don't smell, you don't taste it either. That's how the life is. Watching TV is, yeah, sometimes you think after a hard day, after a so tired day, the only pleasure I have is watching TV. Can you remember your father's, mother's life, where you were a small kid, you never had a TV at home? Was your life is awful life that time? Well, you had a nice life without a TV. Now TV in a house has become the leader of the family. The TV decides what to do, what not to do. The TV decides what to eat and what not to eat. The TV decides where to go, where not to go. He's a decision maker. Not only that, your TV separates your family. You had a nice time before this TV where you sit together and eat. You had your dinner together. And when you are together, you have so many stories to tell each other. And your one person is counting their fingers until they release everything during the work to the husband or to the wife. Now, they come like robots, they eat like robots. The only person they love in their life is the TV. What do you mean by that? By watching the TV, you are pleasing your eye faculty and you are pleasing your ear faculty too much. You just can't live without the TV. How can you renunciate? How can you go to jungle? How can you go to under a tree and meditate? Because in the jungle, in those kutis, in those under those trees, the TV is not available. Phones are not available. So you see, what we are going to do is, what you are really doing is, you are expanding yourself to the world. Connectivity. So modern world call is connectivity. Remember, when you are connected, you are being watched. You are being watched. Your talking is watched. Your activities are watched. Sometimes you've been watched in your bedroom too, because you are connected. So, sansagrata, oh, pleasing faculties is your please your ear, and you please your eyes, you please your nose, having all kind of perfumes. You're a perfume lover. You don't need so much of perfume to hide your bad odor in your body. So they are pleased their faculty too much. And eating Well, we don't have much here, but Malaysian food is very tasty. When I was in Malaysia, everybody was talking about the Malaysian food. Very tasty. But that's because we don't taste foods. We just eat them. You also can do that. You don't need to be a monk to do that. So what you do is that pleasing faculties, and how do you please your body? By wearing various fashions and comfortable, very expensive things. And look at your couch; it's very expensive, and people sometimes invest in their bed more than they eat because they won't need comfort. Why do you need comfort? You are pleasing your body too much. In my place that I'm living here, I have a bed with the wooden planks are set, and on top of there's only a mat. I make my this robe eightfold and keep it as my pillow, and that's all I have when I'm sleeping. And I can sleep on rocks, I can sleep under trees, because that is the training that we undergo when you become a bhikkhu. You are not supposed to live in very luxury, comfortable places. That is how it is. So, Sansangikaramata, Ganasangika. The other last one is the Papancharamata. Papancha, the English word that is given for papancha, is not agreeable at all. Not agreeable at all. And English is a very poor language to explain Buddha's teachings. They only give you very close words. Sometimes during speeches, without telling just one word, I take few minutes to explain the meaning of the Pali word so that people can pick up better. Yeah? So, prapancha is that when you combine the greed within you, when you combine the ego within you, and also when you combine the view of wrong view of personal existence, these three together act to solidify your wrong view of personal existence. So what is the conceit is that I am a teacher, I am a monk, not even these simple things like I am your mother is also comes to the conceit. Because when you introduce that conceit to yourself, you try to behave that way. It's like acting in a movie. Now, for example, we know that, when a policeman say, take a life of a person, a policeman, and in his office, on the road, he is so tough person, lawful person, and when we come home, removing his uniforms there, and he's just a father, and he's just a son, or he's just a neighbor, just a friend. No, his wife doesn't call him, oh, my police husband. His children never call him my police father, daddy. He never call him like that. And his mother never call him my police son. My son. So why he suffers? Because he's a policeman. When people talk so low with him, so friendly with him, he can't tolerate because I am such a person. Conceit make him a total suffering being. So the eightfold path towards Nibbana, what is Nibbana is liberating from the prison that you make for yourself. What is the prison? The wrong views about you, about Atta, about self. You need lots of, better explanations to understand this. I hope I'm here with you right now, wherever you are, to explain these things so nicely and so clearly. But point is, prapancha is something that you are developing every day, greed, conceit, and the wrong view of yourself. So that will never allow you to die happily. What happens? We'll see what happens at the death. So when you have shown the whole world that you are such a big person by involving in those 6 things. First thing is that you are talking too much and you are working too much. You are sleeping too much and you always getting involved with the companies and society too much and you are pleasing your faculties too much aggravates this greed, ego and the wrong self-view to develop and solidify. All these get together, you call it Sakkaya Ditthi. Sakkaya Ditthi is age-old cranker defilement within our heart. The day we subdue it, the day we reduce it, the way we destroy it, that is the day we enter into the noble path. That is why it is called the stream enterer, Sovan, Sotapanna. So a person lived like that, come closer to death one day. Then what will happen? I told you that his body is failing first. And he was a person who did so many things in the world. Now he thinks, oh my dear, I can't even raise my finger. I did my 100 meters in 8.73 seconds. Now what I am now, I can't move my fingers, I can't move my limbs. Then what will happen is, there are four things that will come to his mind. Either sorrow, or pain, or anger, or fear. Would I go back to my home again? Would I be able to run again? Do my job again? All kind of things. Then it is a big shock. A person who could do everything with this body, now he's just lying on the bed. Inability to do anything, any small thing, he's not able to do that. And imagine a person who talks too much. Now he can't talk at all because his tongue is inactive. Maybe he's dying in the young ages, but still the tongue is very inactive. He can't talk. At least he can't talk to his doctor. Doctor, please give me some water. He can't do that. Then it's going to be a big shock to his mind at the end. That will create either pain or sorrow or anger or fear. The person who slept 8, 9, 10 hours a day, he loved sleeping. Now after being such sick, he can't sleep at all. He just can't sleep at all. He's just looking at the ceiling days and days. He wanted to have some sleep, but he can't. And you always think, those days, how many hours I slept, now I can't sleep. It's going to be a big shock for him. That shock produced him sorrow and the pain and the fear and the anger within him at the last moment. Imagine a person who had been in the society always going here, going there. I see on the YouTube some monk says, yesterday I was in Singapore and the day before I was in United States. I was invited by this, I was invited by that. He was such a busy person. And when he dies, he will understand that how can I go abroad? I can go to my temple again. I can't move my finger. I can't move my eyelids. I can't move my legs. I have a bed sore on my back, but still I can't move myself. Then it's going to be a big shock. I was such a busy person. I was a mobile person. Now I can't move. That shock produces the pain, sorrow, or anger, or fear in your heart last moment. Imagine a person who pleases those faculties continuously. Now what? All the faculties are failing at the end. All the faculties are failing. There's no way you can please them. But you wanted to. And you had been. So a person who did that, now he finds he's unable to do that. It's going to be a big shock. And that shock produces all those bad forethoughts within him. Imagine a person who was involved terribly in prapancha. Always he is developing, I am, and my things, and the ego all around his life. Now he is the last to dominate. He is the servant to everybody. Even a fly or a bug can dominate him now. Then he understands that he is falling from a pinnacle at the top of the mountain to the bottom. Such a shock. That shock produces the anger, fear, sorrow, or pain in his heart at the very, very last moments. What happens to the person who been involved? He understands that talking too much is wrong. It's not ethical. I must discipline myself. I must keep my mouth shut when it is not necessary. Right? So we only must talk to the requirement. Either you ask a question or you answer a question. Then he understands that when I was able to talk, I didn't. Now, it's okay, I don't talk because I'm very highly used to not to talk. There's no shock. So that doesn't produce any those four awful thoughts within him because there's no shock. A person who was working too much, that and this and night and morning and noon, now what is happening that? And when he was able to work, he didn't because he heard the Dhamma talk from Buddha. And he said, yes, I am going to discipline myself. I don't do unnecessary thing. I will only earn for my living, for myself and my family. He was such a simple man. And he was donating and he was a very generous person. Such a simple man. When he understands that, oh my dear, I can't move my leg, I can't move my eyelid, I can't move my fingers. Oh, there's no problem. Because the time I could, I did not. Now I am a highly disciplined person. I am just like an enlightened person. I can wait like these hours and days and weeks. No shock. And it doesn't produce awful thoughts. Imagine a person who slept and he listened to one of those talks and he decided, I'm not going to sleep too much. I will reduce my number of hours per day. And he could manage himself with a little sleep. And the rest of the time I meditated, I cleaned my house. I did a lot of things with the same time. Then he understands that I can't sleep now. At the last moment of his life, it doesn't matter. Because when I could sleep, I did not. Because I understood the danger of sleeping too much. I disciplined myself. So now I am a disciplined person. It doesn't matter if I happen to awake few days because I'm used to that. And also, imagine a person who has been in the company, in the society too much. Now he feels he's alone. Only the electronic sounds of the life supporting machine is there with him. No nurses, no doctors, not relatives, no loved ones with him. He's in the ICU. But how he thinks? When I could go into the society, when I could associate with hundreds of people, I did not. Because I heard this kind of a teaching of Buddha, and I know the dangers of having always living in big companies, in socializing, dangers of it I know. So that time I disciplined myself by trying to isolate myself to as much as possible. As much as possible. So living alone is not a big problem for me now. I am highly used to it. The person who thinks like that, he never gets shocked. There is no shock, no produces of awful thoughts. And the person who had been pleasing his faculties non-stop, he has a shock. But he listened to one of those talks and he knew the dangers of pleasing faculties continuously. So he disciplined himself. And he tested himself by not watching TV continuously for weeks. And there wasn't a problem. And he had a lot of time to talk to his family. So he thinks that, when I could please my faculties, I did not. I could discipline my eyes, I could discipline my nose and tongues and body, so on. Then what? Now, all my faculties are failing. And I don't want to please them because I am highly used to it. So he doesn't get that job. The person who delighted in prapancha, improving the self-existence, the craving and the conceit, non-stop continuously. Well, I want to be the president of Malaysia. That is how the modern education tells you. Have a dream, go for that. It doesn't matter what will happen to you as far as you get in there. That's how the modern. To us, it's a very foolish idea. You ruin yourself. You destroy the human life. So precise life that is given to you. That's how it is. So what? Then what happens is, a person who listens to this kind of a talk, he knows the dangers of having so much of craving within himself, so much of conceit and the ego within himself. And he thinks, okay, I must be very generous, I must give away, and I must share all my wealth with people, I must enrich people. So rather than money, I must be sharing all those compassion and kindness with people. And this is a lovely human world to live. Not accumulating and collecting money shouldn't be my life. And more than that, the love, kindness and the compassion, and with your family, with your friends is golden word. That is how you enjoy your human life. And the person who discipline like that, now the last minute of your life, he doesn't crave anything. He has children. He knew one day he has to go. He knew one day they have to go. And there's no conceit. Well, I don't have to be so angry because I'm a small man. Doctors, they have done your duty. Even I've been helping with the life supporting machines. So is that. So what will happen is he doesn't get the shock. He's such a generous man, and with little thing he can live a happy life. So he doesn't develop those awful thoughts like the pain, sorrow, and the anger and the fear. The last 2 minutes of my talk is listen very carefully, please. The person who developed the physical pain, terribly intolerable physical pain, sometimes he dies with that pain as the main objective to the rebirth. Main objective to rebirth. And he go into a bhava, go into a life where he can continue this physical pain. Where is the place? The only place that has the beings of those places has non-stop pain is the hell. Hell equipped with fires, intolerable fierce fires. Not only 1 day, 2 days, few months or few years, thousands and thousands of years. You go to if you happen to be hell, then it is a continuous non-stop fire, burning and screaming. This is how you continue your fire of pain. If the last objective to your mind, assume with that shock, you say if it's going to be a sorrow, you got to continue this sorrowfulness into the next life. Where is this place? The only place you can continue with that is, in Pali we call Peta. It's one of those bad words. The people without eating, the people without drinking, the people doesn't have clothes to wear, people doesn't have place to live, and they are floating here and there, not years, many aeons, without seeing, without even listening to a word called comfort. Only shared merits might help them. If the last motive was anger, the objective to come into your mind in the last minute, if it is the anger, and that anger needs to continue, where is the place you can continue the anger? Hatred, ill will is Asura Preta in Pali. That's even more horrible place. Because the creatures there, they always live with anger in their mind. The book says when they hit each other, they always kill them and eat them. That is how they fill their stomachs, by eating each other. So much of anger and hatred within them. And they live like that, not 1 or 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 100 years, they got to live there in many millions of years and eons. And what happens if you had fear as the last objective of the mind? And you need to continue that fear in the next life. Where is the power? Where is the booming? Where is the place where you can continue the fear? Is the animal kingdom. You will be born as one of the members of the animal kingdom. Just either a worm or a fly, or anybody. Because that is the place where you continually fearful. Have you seen these birds before they catch a prey, before they eat? How many times they do like this? Because this is something that you are going to eat and you will be eaten by another person in the next moment. Whatever they do, wherever they go, they always fearful. They also looking and watching whether some bigger person, bigger bird or a bigger animal come and take them alive. The whole life is fearful. Now you will understand, if we don't discipline ourselves in those 6 factors, the Venerable Sariputta says to the Bhikkhu, if you do not abandon, if you are not delighted in Basaramata, excessive talking, if you do not abandon excessive working, if you do not abandon excessive sleeping, if you do not abandon excessive socializing and excessive pleasing of faculties and developing prapancha, if you do not abandon all those things, you have lived a non-auspicious life, resulting non-auspicious death. That means the topic Tilak suggested me in the very first moment, what will happen after death, is what you do in this life. Same thing. And secondly, the Venerable Sariputta teaches to his students, friends, abandon excessive talking, abandon excessive working, abandon excessive sleeping, and abandon excessive socializing, abandon excessive pleasing of faculties, and abandoning, developing, and aggregating prapancha within yourself. And that is the auspicious life. That is called abandoning sakkaya ditthi. That way you have an auspicious death. Means what? You will not go to awful worlds, bad worlds. You will be reborn either in the humanity again, not to waste your life again, or in among deities. So, and also you become a stream enterer. You have no fears of happening. Because within next 7 lives, you will be liberating yourself completely. So, to end the little long talk, sleep a little, talk a little, and work a little. For about 1 or 2 months, abandon the TV. Meditate at that time. Talk to your family at that time. And try to live alone. Anyway, we are going to go alone. We were born alone. Why cannot you live alone? Try to love a solitary life. And also be very generous in your life. Whatever you give is going to be your dowry in next life, not what you accumulate. Everything you accumulate, you go to live and go. So that way you can reduce the greediness, reduce the craving within you. And also try to be always small and smile with people, reduce the conceit. And also learn Buddhism, Buddhist teachings, and go into samatha bhavana, samatha meditation, and go into insight meditation, and have a daily practice. Let the meditation be your daily practice, like you are eating and drinking. So that way you can develop certain very sophisticated minds and thoughts so that you can penetrate into things that you couldn't see before. So that way you will not only you will understand, you will realize what's happening underneath this conventional world. That is how you can awaken your life to have auspicious death. So you are guaranteed that you won't be going into any bad words. So thank you very much for listening so long, attentively focused, and I think I have done my best by showing a small sutta from Anguttara Nikaya and explaining them in 360 degrees. And thank you very much. I don't remember her name. Our what call her? The person who are connecting me to you, and she had a greatest difficulty 30 minutes before to connect me because we had lots of internet problems, and I couldn't hear her, but she could hear me. So we finally agreed that okay, it is enough that the people could hear me, so that she will communicate with me through slides. So thank you very much for listening so attentively. Such a valuable Sutra Deshana from Tripitaka. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay. Okay, it says, if my family members are dying, should I advise them to put aside their worries? I remember some Dhamma books that advise us to talk to the dying person about their good merits. Are these good ways to help the dying? Thank you. Yeah, okay. So, Sukham, this why we should worry about the last minute of our people's life? I would suggest that whatever you can do, you should do when they are good and happy. But I mean, the same sutta applies. If you want to have a good death, you got to live well. Bad living is unauspicious death. Whatever you do at the last minute, it won't work. The point is that, and we discussed that the last faculty to fail at the last moment is the ear. So whatever you say, he can hear. It's a good idea that to remind him or remind her certain good things, but remember, it shouldn't be very emotional things. For example, if grandma is dying, grandma, can you remember the day you got married? That's not a point to talk about. Because the marriages are always bring fear and anger. I'm sorry to say this. And also sometimes it's very heartbreaking. Don't talk about those things. I don't know what kind of a good thing that you are suggesting to talk to the dying person, but it has to be things like how much of things that she gave to that society, to beggars, to how she helped the poor, and also how much she had treated and looked after her parents, something like that. And also, you can probably remind her about the meditation sessions that she did, but not any incidents on the domestic life, because they are emotional, they bring fear and again the craving and all sort of bad feelings to the mind. And the best thing is you should not talk too much by the side of a dying person. You know why? They have very faint ability of listening. And even the best thing in the world, too much of it is going to be very, very painful. Only one or two or three words will be enough. And also, the person who asked this question must take the lesson. And according to Sutta, we now know there's nothing, absolutely nothing you can do at the last minute. But whatever you can do is the minute that you are living right now. Okay? Dear Bhante, when my father was in a comatose state for many years, he could not die and was suffering physically, maybe because of his past karma. However, when we invited monks to chant Paritas to bless him. He died peacefully. Was he here? He died peacefully the very day after the blessings. May I know if Bhante can enlighten us if these blessings help the dying? Thank you. Yeah, definitely. But the point is that he should understand what these blessings are. Sometimes the monks come and they chant Pirit. Pirit are all in Pali and people they don't understand. And it's a kind of a feeling only that, Pirit is a blessing. It's not enough. And whatever that chanting must be done, it must be done very slowly and in short form. And if he had listened to these chantings in his life before, definitely he will have some happy thoughts. But sometimes the people, they never have gone to temple, never have encouraged people to listen to chanting, and sometimes they have obstructed people of home people of listening to chanting. If the person is like that and listening to monks' blessings and chanting will be a horrible dream for him. He will get very angry because he is listening to something that he doesn't like. Got to be very, very careful. But bringing monks and chanting softly a very short paritta can be helpful. Yes. Anglical. Bhante, some people are not wise enough to understand what you are sharing and they won't listen. Is there any way we could help further? Well, people are born with certain intelligences. That's karma. But I think my way of explaining this sutra was very simple. Very simple. Which I always gave you life, the example very close to your life. And I never use Pali words and very serious English words either. And we have a person who do not understand this talk. I don't think there is a person like that. Even there was a kid listening to this talk. She probably could grab the idea of this thing. For example, talking a little, sleeping a little, and these kind of things are very close to our lives. I think people understand what I said. Or if you have anybody in the audience who doesn't understand what I said, she also can question me. Deities, deities are always, they love to listen to Buddha's teachings. Why? They have listened to these Buddha teachings when Buddha was alive. When they are heard, they assemble very closely. So it is the Buddha's advise us to, when we do a meritorious work, the very first thing is to share merits to them, then we'll be very pleased. So we share all the merits generated to the deities. And the pleasing, the happy deities should look after all these people who listen to these Buddha's teachings and help them in disciplining their life and seeking Nibbana in the very life. And also we share all the merits to the departed ones and not only the ones that known to you, the departed ones who are not known to us too, and from the dead people who from the pandemic. And even today, there are hundreds of people dying all around the world. And may all share all these merits wherever they are born and be comfortable, well and happy. Thirdly, I like to share these merits to the people, with people who are in front of me from different countries, different locations. But I 100% know they have the fullest attentiveness, attention, and the confidence of listening, and everybody of them. And the people who permitted them to listen to this Dhamma talk, and also the people who did not listen to this Dhamma talk, may all share all these merits, acquire these merits to become truthful people and also to discipline themselves. And may that merits bring them the happiness and the wealth of happiness and the health and all kind of wisdom to liberate themselves within the same life. And also sponsors Tilak and the, I'm sorry, it's difficult to pronounce this sister's name, but to her and all the people who have been sponsored this session, may all they be well and happy with the shared merits. So thank you very much for listening. All those points that's been highlighted by the Buddha to have an auspicious life and so on, this auspicious death. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the monk and management of Mahavihara, we would like to thank Bhante for his time and sharing his Dharma knowledge with us. We would also like to express our gratitude to all our sponsors for their kind donations and all our audience for joining us tonight. Good night, everyone, and have a pleasant evening. Suki Hontu.